direction. Just look around and find at least something good. All you need will come to you. I'll never end your stare.
Welcome back to Two Canadians at Kafe Lise, a Vigor podcast. This is episode 25, the Halloween episode, and loot value episode. So we, as always, I am one of your hosts, Dr. Anton, and with me is
DJ Spencer.
And we figured this time around, because we're going to do a couple topics, just because neither topic has a lot of meat to it. So we figured, okay, let's try to split the episode up among two different things. The first thing we'll talk about is the Halloween update that they released just this past week. We're recording on the 23rd of October. When you see this, it'll be the 25th, and Halloween will be in just a week. So they released their little Halloween update, and as far as update goes, it's all cosmetic. There was nothing huge released with it. But it was still kind of cool that they did this. There was hints of it before this. People were saying, "Hey, you should do a Halloween update," and they said, "Oh, maybe something's coming." And then, boom, they finally released it with this last dev stream. So that was pretty cool and fun. And yeah, and as far as our cosmetic update goes, it's pretty nice, I have to say. Yeah.
Yep.
Some of the big things you'll notice, all the your shelter and all the maps are currently running in night mode. So if you haven't played it in a while and you're watching this and you want to jump in, you're going to be playing night mode maps. The big thing is the first thing you notice, you're in your shelter. Pumpkins everywhere.
Yep.
They made this. And it's one pumpkin that they made different sizes of and just sort of stacked and put all over the place on your shelter. All the maps you go into, you'll see them littered throughout the maps, and they do some really nice kind of different things with it. Like, where was I? I was in, I'm not sure if it was Brodelin or not, but I was at a location where it had a sort of a kind of a driveway up, and they had pumpkins along the side of the driveway, and I thought that looked really kind of cool. Right, lighting up the driveway. Have you noticed anything different with
No, it just like feels like Halloween, right? Like you're going trick or treating in the Outlands because there's like all like I want to say most of the buildings or houses actually have pumpkins around. So it's kind of cool, and it's not just like. Like almost every house is a little different. Like you said, the one had like leading up to the door, they're up there. Some have some stacked, and it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and it's the only cosmetic they really did. Like they did these pumpkins, they're lit up, and it's kind of cool. So who knows? Maybe in the future years, maybe they'll go farther with it. Because, really, if it's Halloween, there could be other stuff, too. There could be, bats. There could be spiders, that kind of stuff, too. So maybe, and cobwebs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We know with their Christmas updates, they've changed it up throughout the years. And sometimes they keep elements from a previous year and then add some new stuff. Sometimes they get rid of stuff. So since this is the first time they're doing something for Halloween, it's cool that they've done this.
Yeah. And it'll actually lend to future like seasons, right? Or holidays, right? Like Easter, maybe. You could definitely do something like that. Something that like kind of like a holiday that's kind of observed like worldwide, right? Most likely, or maybe maybe something just Czech or something, since the dev studio is there. I don't know if there's any special holidays that they observe that we may not, but it's kind of cool because, like I said, it could lend itself to like other holidays.
Sure, yeah. And when they released, I'm just trying to think now, when they released that Hunter Prey pack in the stores, was that around Easter? Because there was the pink bunny.
Yeah, no, I think that was just jumper. Part of the season.
The Trapper season wasn't. but that didn't cover Easter, did it? Like I
No,
thought it did.
I don't
Okay,
think so.
maybe I was wrong. I don't remember exactly either. I was kind of curious if the
Yeah.
bunny outfit, the bunny ears and all that were around the same time, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just not not sure. But okay. But yeah, you're right. It could they could do some other holiday stuff. That'd be kind of cool. And they do, and they almost in this one they also, as we talk about some of the other little cosmetics they've done, they've almost crossed holidays a little bit here too, with Halloween and another one.
Okay. So quick research. Trappers came out like 2 weeks after Easter, 2.5 weeks after Easter.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't quite, the timing wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the big thing you'll notice is the pumpkins everywhere. Everything's gone nighttime. And I think a lot of people, at least a lot of streamers for sure, have been playing around with their shelters, putting them back into the old sort of dilapidated versions of the shelter, just to add a little bit more ambiance.
Yep.
I definitely did. I went back to an early version of mine, and it's kind of cool to see an old version again. And even though I don't have the video game anymore, it's not like I played it really anyway. So
I love the arcade game on the top.
it's cool to have, but I never touch it.
No.
Yeah. I also would have thought would have been kind of cool is if they had taken those pumpkins they made and put them on the scarecrows, because the scarecrows in your shelter and in the game, they are pumpkins anyways. They're just not lit up, so it would have been kind of cool if all the scarecrows were a little updated, but maybe in the future.
Yep.
The big things that they really did though is beyond that is they did a bunch of stuff in the store. They released an outfit. They've released a few various accessories and a bunch of gun skins. So that's kind of that's kind of most of it. In the store they released the what they call the Nightmare sweater. And the sweater is Pesa. I'm not sure. I'm sure it has a
Lopa
translates
Pesa,
to something.
I think is how you say it.
Lopa Pesa?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a sweater design that's been around for a while. They've just colored it almost like the Freddy Krueger. It's the Freddy Krueger colors, right? Red and kind of blackish or gray or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's almost like a dark green, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, the Freddy Krueger sweater that came out when they announced this, and they did this. They released this stuff. Wasn't it right at the same time as they did the? Didn't they release something right as they did the dev stream?
No, that was the last Legacy season.
Oh, that was the last one.
Yeah,
the Legacy season. Yeah, I'm screwing up dev streams.
No, this was
right.
This was like the morning of type thing.
But it was the same. Yeah, they had the dev stream just after they released this stuff.
2 or 3 hours before, because I was actually streaming that morning, and literally like 5 minutes before I jumped on, they sent out the tweet with the pic and everything, and I was like, "What?
What's going on?" Yeah.
So
release that sweater, and the sweater is an outfit, so it changes like usual. It changes your pants, changes your gloves, so you can't change those yourself. But then you're free to change like your facial stuff and your helmets and all that kind of thing. They also at the same time released a version of the another version of the fedora. And I don't know if that was meant to be part of the Freddy Krueger look or not, because it did seem like it was to me it seemed like it was a grimier version of the fedora, but not huge. I didn't buy it just because I have a lot of versions of the fedora, and they all, even they all look fine. So I just went with the fedora. So it may or may not have been released at the same time as part of this, or it might have just been a coincidence. It's hard to say. They released a special full face helmet.
Yeah.
The pumpkin helmet.
Looks like a motorcycle helmet, essentially.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle helmet which just has a pumpkin skin over it, and it looks really good. Mm-hmm. And the visor's down. It's similar. It's the same helmet, I think, as the. Is it the same helmet as the Beast helmet? The gold. It's very similar.
It kind of looks like it.
Yeah, it's very similar. It might be a little different, but it's very similar. But it looks like a pumpkin, and on the back of it, it has a little pumpkin face or a little face as well, which is kind of interesting. It's almost like a brand. And in a way, it almost made me think a little bit of Halloween 3, um, Season of the Witch, or whatever it was, when they had those special masks that kids were getting. I don't know if anyone knows Halloween 3. I'm a fan of Halloween 3. But it had nothing to do with Michael Myers. It was when they were thinking of making the Halloween series more of a series of different stories, and just they were trying to, like, at one time spin it off for Michael Myers.
Oh, okay.
And so they did this one movie that had nothing to do with him. And it was a neat story, and it was a neat movie, and I enjoyed it. But they had these special masks, and it was Silver Shamrock was the brand of the mask, and it had a special silver shamrock on the back. So I was, even though this doesn't look like a shamrock, I was kind of curious if it had anything to do with that, if that was like an Easter egg or not. The fact that they have a little symbol on the back to denoting like a brand or something. I don't know.
I don't...
Yeah, anyways. So they released that helmet. Now pricing is a little all over the place with this stuff. Like they released it, and it's not necessarily cheap. Like the helmet right now, I had just checked, and you can get it in their shop for like 700 crowns. I can't remember how much the outfit was. Did you remember looking?
I want to say it was 900.
900 crowns. Yeah.
Like not on sale, but it looks like it's going to come on sale in about 9 days or so.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with the helmet.
So
yeah, when I first saw the helmet, it was in the store, and it was 700 crowns, and then it was going to be, but in 24 hours it was supposed to be, or 12 hours or something, it was supposed to be discounted. I think it was like a 60% discount they were saying. But then I went back, and I never saw it again. And you could still get to it through the cosmetics area of the shop and purchase it for 700 crowns, but I never saw it on sale, so it was kind of weird. But then they also released, what else? They released some masks, right? What were the masks?
Yeah, the combat masks. So they're the masks that kind of look like a paintball mask.
Right. Yeah.
So there's three different variations. There's one called muted, where essentially the mouth is like sewn shut. So like it looks like the lips are sewn shut. There's monster, right, which is basically Frankenstein looking. And the last one is Reaper, which is like a skull face.
Okay.
So those are the combat masks that were released with this update.
And they're not bad. I didn't see what. Do you know how much they were? Did you write it down?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if they were a good deal or not either. But they do look nice. So if you like those kind of masks.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the combat masks per se.
No, I'm not either. But the fact that they're a theme kind of thing is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then they did a bunch of gun skins. Sort of similar, like how when they released this new look for the store, they released 2 gun skins for all the guns. That was the Mamba and the what was it called? No, it's not. It's
Nebula.
Yeah. So they released those 2 when they updated the look of the store in the cosmetics area. They've released a couple more, they've released 3 more, but it's really inconsistent of what gun gets what skin. Like there's one called Bats, which is orange with black and white bats all over it. And that one is, I think, almost universally available for most guns.
Yeah.
That's that one I think is pretty common to get. Another one called Calaveras. And this is the one where it sort of crosses over with another holiday, the Day of the Dead. So it's when you look at it, it's very much, it's got the Day of the Dead kind of skulls all over it. It has a lot of those, because Day of Dead, when you see it, it's very kind of neon-y and kind of bright.
Yep.
And so this skin is a black skin with a bunch of white skulls all over it, with blue and I think other color dots sort of mixed in with it. So when you see it, you'll recognize it to be very much kind of the Spanish Day of the Dead kind of festival look. And then there's a third skin, and this is the one that's really inconsistent on whether or not it's available for a gun, and that's the jack-o'-lantern skin. And this one's very much a blackish skin with orange pumpkin faces, sort of sprayed here and there. So it's really inconsistent. It's not too busy, which is great, but it's kind of inconsistent in how it looks on most guns, and this might be part of the reason why it's not available for all guns. But yeah, the jack-o'-lantern one, it's very inconsistent on how it looks. There's been a few guns that are similar in body shapes, and when you go between them, like the A1 and the Para, it doesn't look the same on all guns. So it looks a little strange to me. It's a nice skin, and if it's on a gun I like, then great. But yeah, I don't know. I find it kind of inconsistent. How about you? What did you think of these skins?
Yeah, I like that they're doing this, and like I said, this is laying down the groundwork for like future holidays in my mind. It's like a really good first attempt. And yeah, like there's just like stuff that needs to be ironed out, like the consistency of the appearance on a bunch of them, and how some of them don't appear on for all guns. One thing that I'm not sure how to like say this, but like it's just if you want to buy a skin, it only applies to that one weapon, right? So
Right. Yeah.
It's just I don't know if there's something that that in the future they may look at where it's like you buy like almost a whole set, like a skin, and it would apply for all the weapons or whatnot.
Yeah.
But like I do I like I said, I do like this. I like the fact that we're getting like new like themed guns, because it's not just like a camo or anything like that. This is like special. It's like a holiday one. Um, so yeah, I like the fact that it does this, and like we have to remember too, like this is a free game and they need to generate revenue, and this is one way for them to generate revenue is by selling like skin customizations for weapons, like your Outlander and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely something that they need to do, right?
Yeah, and it makes sense. I like your idea though of say like a pack.
Yeah.
Like you get this skin for all guns, and maybe they'd be able to charge a little bit more for a pack as opposed to per gun. Because right now the pricing is also really inconsistent. Pardon me. Like when they released the Mamba and the Nebula skins, it was consistent across the board. It was 250 for the skin for a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, they released it for every single gun, and so you'd have to pay that for if you wanted it for all guns. You'd have to pay it for all guns.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those gun. They have a lot of good skins out there, so I don't feel the need to own a skin necessarily for every single gun.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the steampunk one. If they release steampunk for every gun, I'd probably get the steampunk for
Yeah.
every gun. But
Yeah.
but these ones, for some reason, they're more expensive. Like they were like starting at about 400 crowns instead of 250, and sometimes they're discounting them to around 200. It seems a little inconsistent, and it's not. And it's not necessarily 400 all the time for a gun. It's sometimes it's 400, sometimes it's a little less. They're all over the place on it, so it's
Yeah.
not consistent.
Yeah.
So maybe like you said, if they had done a special thing in the stores instead of releasing it necessarily in the, well, I guess you want to be able to see it though too, because going through this format of the gun store, you get to see how it looks on the gun first. Yeah. So if they had done it as a pack, you're saying, okay, you buy this skin, you get it for all your guns. You may not have got to see how it looks on all the guns and saying, but
Yeah.
then again, if you don't like it for a gun, you just don't put it on a gun.
And that's the thing too, is like in the current format, it's like if someone's maining one weapon, it works well, right? So if someone's only running an H bar constantly, they just need to buy the one, and that's fine, they're done. But like as someone who not necessarily runs just one weapon, it's like I may want it on like 5, 6 different weapons, and like
Right.
then it's like, okay, well, like this is quite a bit of money, and like don't get me wrong, like I've bought, you know, the starter packs,
Yep.
the uh the armory pack. I
Mm-hmm.
bought like a couple of crown packs and stuff like that. So it's not that I don't want to, but it's like eventually, like at some point, like I can't spend like $10 on individual gun skins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
And I like the specialty gun skins. So
yeah,
like you get all the standard ones in the shop that you get out of crates and stuff, like the
yep,
various camos or the solid colored ones, and those are fine. And if I don't have a special skin for a gun, then I'll usually go with a solid color because I'm not a big fan of camo skins myself. Um, but then as they start releasing specialty ones for guns, and usually through seasons and stuff, right, is when they do this,
yep,
like battle passes. You get the stuff like the steampunks.
yep,
This season was it this season that was the rust ones?
yeah.
Yeah,
Rusted and got
the
added.
the rusted ones were this season. I really like the rusted ones.
Yep.
And then as we're seeing through some of the legacy seasons, you get some of the special ones like the black ones from
Carbon fiber.
um, yeah. Well, the carbon fiber was like a newer one. I'm thinking of the black ones like in season 2, I think it was. There
Oh
was
yes.
we talked about this one before.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
pigeon and the IZH had this black
Yeah.
one that's really nice.
Yeah.
You get some of these specialty ones, and I really like the specialty ones. And if I have a specialty one, I'll throw a specialty one on a gun. Whether I use a gun or not, I'll throw one of the specialty ones on it. But if I have a gun that doesn't have any kind of specialty skin, and I use that gun, and I find there's a skin that I can buy for it that is kind of cool, then I'll consider it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I picked up the Mamba for the H bar because I didn't have anything on the H bar other than some solid colors that I really liked, so I bought the Mamba. So with these special Halloween ones, it's sort of along that same line, I guess. If I want a special one for one of the guns I use regularly, then maybe I'll consider it. Um, but it's like the one I kind of like the most, which is the jack-o'-lantern, isn't available for every weapon, and so the guns it's available for are like, well, I don't want, I don't use this gun very often, so I don't want to buy the jack-o'-lantern for this gun. I want it for this other gun. So,
Yeah.
but they don't have it for this other gun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, and it should be noted, I don't think we said this. These skins are only available for 2 weeks.
Pretty much until Halloween.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And then maybe a couple days after Halloween.
Yeah.
And then that's when they go away.
Yeah,
So
probably with the season update, right?
Yeah.
I would guess
most likely.
Today, as we're recording, there's 11 days left in the season. So.
Right. And yeah, they said that this these skins would only be available for purchase. Yeah, just for the couple of weeks and just after Halloween, and then they would go away. So yeah, as long as you purchased it, you'll always have it. But that's your time frame to get it.
Yep.
Now maybe they'll come back next year.
I would hope so.
Yeah, you would think it might be a seasonal thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And because they like to, and usually like Christmas, they'll release certain Christmas cosmetics in the shop, like hats and sweaters and such. So,
yep,
I'm sure they'll come back. Personally, like I said, I like the jack-o'-lanterns. The other two don't really do it for me. They're not my kind of thing. But I'm not saying that they, I have seen them out there and people using them, so people like them, and that's cool. It's great. If you like it, go for it. Yep. Pull your boots. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's Halloween. That's the Halloween update. So yeah, there's some cosmetics, like we said, pumpkins and night. That's a big thing. Oh, we didn't mention sound effects.
Oh yes.
They added in ambient sounds when you're playing, so you'll hear like a witch cackling, and I think there's also some. Almost, I'm not sure if they're ghost sounds or like oohs kind of thing, but you'll hear some other things as you're playing on out there.
Yeah, there's a different wolf howl too, and I think there's kind of like a nefarious laugh type thing.
So there's a few different sounds that they added in.
Yeah,
which can be a little unnerving if you're like, if somebody's close by and you're trying to hear where they're coming from, and then you hear this cackling, or it's like, no, what?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the Halloween update. So next, I'll let DJ start us off on this one. It's the next thing we're talking about is loot value.
Yep. So we did an episode called "So You're Looking for Loot" earlier, and we kind of described where you could find the various types of loot, and we actually talked about the XP you got from looting it. So there's two events when you loot a resource. Is you get XP for looting it, and then you get XP for taking it, or they call it retrieved, so taking it out of the encounter. So you get those two XP, but we never talked about actual loot value for each type. So we did a little bit of research, and basically we're going to share our findings. Because so one thing like I like to think about is once I'm max shelter. Some people say, well, there's nothing left to do but to kill. And honestly, like, I want to climb the leaderboard with like I want to get my loot value per encounter up there. So this is something I kind of wanted to look at one point, and we actually had a suggestion to look into this as well. So I think it was a good time to like kind of look into it. So we'll just I think Doc said he's going to throw up an image of it, and if we need to, like, we could post a link to the Google spreadsheet with all the values and stuff like that too. So
sort of like we did with the Loot XP document. So we had a document that we shared that just showed you the different XPs you get for things.
Yeah.
I will say this is a little harder to calculate. XP was pretty easy. Because when you finish an encounter,
it's all mapped out.
It shows you, it's all mapped out right there. It's like glass, you got this much for looting it, this much for extracting with it. And it's like, okay, that was an easy calculation to make. But then loot value, you get to the end and it just gives you your loot value was blah.
Yeah.
This is your loot value. It's like doesn't break it down at all.
Yeah.
So
so the way this worked out was essentially went into an encounter. I had a list of things that we needed to look at. So I would just grab whatever loot, head out, and then I'd write down how many I had, what the loot value was, and then I'd do quick math to figure out per item how much the loot value was. And then we ended up making a spreadsheet that contained info for like the full stack too. So then that way it's like it's a lot easier to calculate.
So you'll get the idea of when you're taking out certain types of loot, if you're really going for loot value as opposed to XP. XP is great for the battle pass because you need XP, and the more you get, the better. So you know what to focus on if you're trying to get your battle pass done. But beyond the battle pass, if you're trying to really get up the leaderboards or get your loot value up, your average loot value, this is the spreadsheet for you.
Exactly. So let's get started. So I'll talk about metal parts and wire because essentially they are the same thing.
Right.
So a full stack is 150 in your inventory. Loot value, it's pretty simple. Single unit, I guess you could say.
One metal part or one wire.
Yeah. So one per one. And then we could talk about the XP. XP still one for looted and one retrieved. So basically, you're getting 150 loot value for a full stack, and then for looted XP, you get 150, and retrieved 150 as well.
So as we're updating the XP, just as a quick thing. The values haven't changed a lot from when we first did the XP one. When we get down to fertilizer, that's where the big change happened. But everything else is pretty much similar when it comes to XP as what we did in our previous episode. Yeah.
And then the next common resource is nails. The stack,
this one surprised me.
Yeah. So the stack is only 75, but the loot value per one nail is actually 5. So you're getting way more loot value out of a stack of nails than the metal parts or wire. XP wise, it's exactly the same. So technically, you're getting less XP looting the nails, but the loot value is there because a full stack of nails is actually going to get you 375
loot value. Yeah, that's and that was a really huge jump. Like when you consider that nails were worth, because they're a smaller stack, and they were the same XP as metal and wire, you were getting less XP for a stack of nails, and it's like, why did they do this? Who knows? But then loot value is like boom, like whoa, like that's a huge jump. That's like the biggest jump. Almost, but yeah.
Definitely. Do you want to take over or?
Sure. Yeah, I could do the uncommons. So the uncommons are glass and fertilizer. Glass, XP wise, has always been and still is the best bang for your buck for XP. So if you're trying to get your XP up, if you want to do really good on the battle pass, go for glass. So hit houses, grab as much glass as possible. Loot value, it's loot value, it's a little less. It's glass and fertilizer are the same. They're 10 loot value per unit. So when you get a stack, and a stack is 50 per stack, you're looking at 500 loot value for a stack of glass and a stack of fertilizer. As opposed to, when you look at glass for XP, you're getting almost you get 950 XP for a stack, both looted and retrieved. So it's quite interesting how the loot value is almost inversed with glass. It's like it's the best XP, but it's it's decent loot value, but it's like real middle of the ground, which we would kind of expect for an uncommon. And fertilizer and glass are the same. So when it comes to a stack, when it comes to loot value, so it's not bad. Yeah.
Then on to the rare, the blue resources, chemicals and food. Comes in stacks. You acquire it in stacks of 25. Now, chemicals, the loot value for one chem is 50. The looted XP is 2 and retrieved XP is 8. So a full stack of chemicals will actually get you 1,250 units. Looted XP is 50 and retrieved XP is 200. Now, this is the thing that surprised me the most about all this, was actually the food. Food has absolutely no loot value. So if you are going for loot value, do not keep
Don't take food.
Loot it, like pick it up, delete it from your inventory because it's just wasting space if that's what you're trying to go for, is loot value. But otherwise, it's 2 XP for looting food, 12 for retrieving it. So you're looking at, for a full stack of 25, 50 XP for looting and 300 for retrieving it. That was the shocking thing. Now, I just want to share something. I guess I'm boasting now, but I actually had a chem run on Sogbrook where I actually had a full inventory of chemicals. So 625.
Oh, wow.
Chems. And this was back when I was still grinding to finish my outhouse. It was like the last thing I had to do. So I had 625 chems. It came out to 31,250, I think it was.
Wow.
Loot value or something like that. It was ridiculous. But and then the next night too was almost the same thing. I got like 500 and some chems on a different run. Now the one where I filled up my inventory, it was either 7 times boosted or max boosted or something like that. The next night though, it was only boosted 3 times, and I almost filled up my inventory. So, and it was, both of them were on Sogbrook. Obviously, I know Sogbrook is like one of my favorite maps, and I know all the chem spots are. So
it's a really good chem one, like we said before. And the whole thing about food again, if you're at the point where you're really trying to focus on your loot value, you're probably at the point where your food production in your shelter is at the point that you don't need to take food out of an encounter. So like for me, I'll loot food just to loot it, get a little bit of XP for it, and then I'll delete it because I don't need it for my shelter.
Oh, and
So
one thing I did notice is on the summary screen when you're leaving an encounter. So resources are usually, they show you usually consumables in a row, and it shows you each item and how many you had in your inventory. Then your resources. Food's actually in its own section, which I didn't realize
I
that.
never noticed that.
So
okay,
that's probably explains why it has no loot value. Is it's literally just the resources that contain loot value. So,
and it might be, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it might be because you can grow your own food. But
yeah,
how that would affect loot value, I don't know. But the fact that you're growing your own food, and
yeah,
for your donations and such, maybe that's why they decided, okay, let's just not make food
yeah.
worth anything.
The only thing, my
Loot value
counter
wise.
argument would be the scrap in your shelter as well, producing
Yeah, that's
parts.
true.
So
But then when
I
you look at metal loot value, it's not very high, and XP value, it's not very high either.
I
But yeah,
I think it is because like food has like a secondary use where
use.
it's you're getting crates out of it by donating, right? So yeah, it
Yeah,
could be very well that. I'm not sure.
yeah, I'm sure they have a reason for it, but
Yep.
it's very interesting though. Yeah. And then last is the military grade resources, which are electronics and fuel. Both are in the same values, so there's no change between the two. So regardless of what you're looting, you're going to get the same out of it. Um, they are 200 per unit, so 200 loot value. There's still 5 experience looted and 20 experience retrieved. So when you loot and retrieve it, you're going to get a total of 250 experience for a full stack.
Mm-hmm.
But the loot value is the big one. For a stack, you get 2,000 loot value.
Yeah.
So that's why the runs on maps like
The
Forest
yeah.
can be so huge. And I think when they were doing those challenges for the streamers or the partners and such, one of the things was come out with a full thing of fuel, and I think the loot value ended up being something like 50,000 loot value. In that neighborhood, it was like 50,000, maybe it's a little bit more. I don't know for sure, but it was huge. Yeah. I think the biggest I've ever come out of Diverg was in the 34 to 36,000 value. But then I was looting a bunch of stuff. I didn't just have fuel.
Yeah.
But yeah. Wow. It's just and those are huge.
And
so when you're going for your loot values, go for the purple.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the only thing I would maybe say is if you're going to do that too, is just be mindful that fuel is probably going to affect your stamina more than the electronics.
Yeah, the weight. Yeah, the fuel is going to weigh a lot more.
So,
but then, like the only electronics, the best map for electronics I can think of is Victor.
Yeah, I was going to say Station.
And yeah, Station. But you don't get the amount of electronics out of it that you do fuel out of Diverg.
No.
Yeah.
But it's like if you can get a full stack of electronics on Diverg, it's like definitely keep that instead of getting
over
fuel type thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's also funny too, because when you're looting those ones to get the higher loot values, those are the ones that you're going to have a ton of it at your shelter and not need it. Because you'll need those things, but you never need them in the quantity that you have them. It's like the things you need lots of are like chemicals,
glass,
wire, glass, nails, those kind of things. You need thousands and thousands of it. But electronics and fuel, you'll have thousands and thousands of it, but you just won't need it.
And that's where I'm at in my shelter too, right? Is like literally the only resources I need now are scrap metal or metal parts and wire, like a ton of wire. Like the wind turbine, the last upgrade is just under 29,000 wire, right?
Oh wow!
For that last one. So, but like that one uses fuel. I have all the fuel I need. Like you said, I have an abundance too, and it's just those common resources that I kind of like focus on right now. And not gonna lie, it hurts my loot value because it's like I'm deleting like stacks of fuel or whatnot because it's like I'm like, give me all the wire.
Yeah. But you can break your resources down too for for your generic materials. So that's something you can always do with them, I believe, right? Like, can't you? I thought you could break out
Like,
down any resources you don't want
yeah, deconstructing
towards
your shelter.
materials. Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so that's something you can do with all that extra fuel. Is just
Yeah.
get your
I'm kind of
materials
hoarding
up there.
it just in case, you know, there is shelter
They release
expansions down the road.
something.
So
Yeah, something that needs all that fuel.
yeah.
Your own fuel plant or something, or I don't know, fuel farm. Yeah, I don't know, like a gas station. You start your own Uplands gas station.
Yeah. Well, no, you just put it down by the docks, and it's like you have like your own like not shipping yard, but
yeah,
like a marina.
they get you a boat. Yeah, marina. They
Like
get you a
DJ's
boat.
Marina.
Yeah.
Come get your fuel here. Gas up your boat. Go get some fish. Go fishing or go out to your next encounter by boat or whatnot. You could take your boat to.
Same with the electronics. You could start your own electronics store.
Yeah,
You know, come in. You know, you missing a transistor? I probably got it.
yeah.
hmm
But
yeah. But that's the loot value. So
yeah.
it was sort of a side thing we wanted to talk about. Okay, go ahead.
And let's just specify too. This is for season 9. These values may change season to season.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like we said, the fertilizer was the one that took the biggest hit as far as XP goes. So when we originally did our XP talk, talking about loot and where you can find it and what was the best for XP, fertilizer was up there, almost as good, not quite as good as gas, but it was pretty good. Like it's 950 XP to take a stack of glass, to loot it, and to retrieve it. At the time, fertilizer was up to like 650 XP for both, you know, to loot it and retrieve it. So it was decent. It was the second best resource to get. But they've really nerfed it for some reason, and it's down to 300 XP to loot and retrieve. So it's like it's over half less than, you know, it took like a massive discount on fertilizer. Why, I'm not sure. But so it's like 300. So and now I think the second best material to take out of the thing is food, as far as XP goes, not to do with loot, because obviously there's no loot value.
Yeah.
But it's 350 for a stack of food looted and retrieved, whereas fertilizer is now just 300.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, this is a little side topic we wanted to bring up, talk about at some point, just because when we're talking about XP doesn't relate to loot value, and we were always curious, what's the difference? Like how does it break down? Because there's no easy way, other than like DJ said, go in, loot one type of thing, get out. What's my loot value? You know, so that's like. Thank you, DJ, for getting all these numbers for us.
I'm not gonna lie, it was actually kind of fun, and like I actually ran into people, and it's like I actually got I was bringing in like either nothing or like I bring in the combat magnum just to try it out, and it was like I got some kills out of it. I was like, okay, I got 1 kill and I got like 5 wire. I'm good. The worst part is like some people actually had good stuff on them, and I actually like left some good stuff in the Outlands. Like, it's for science. It's for science. I'll
science. Yeah, but that's awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was this episode. The next episode we're hoping is going to be a season 10 talk, because in theory that should be out by then.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. And then right around that time, it's going to be our 1-year anniversary. So we're working on something. We're hoping we have a good episode to release on our 1-year anniversary.
Yep.
It's hard to believe it's been a year already. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun though, I gotta say.
Oh, good. It's good you say that and not, blindside me with, oh, this sucks. I really hate doing this.
A whole year with Doc. Oh God.
DJ, why?
Oh wait, I thought my mic was muted there.
Yeah. Anyways,
no, it's definitely good. And honestly, like, I was talking to someone just before we jumped on the call, and honestly, like, they said, "Oh, I listen to the podcast like every day on my drive in and out of work because I guess they have like a long commute or whatever." And they're like, "Yeah, I listen to like the podcast every time." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "You don't know how much that means because it's like honestly, sometimes it's like we wonder how many people actually listen and whatnot." And it's like, drop us if you do like it. Thank you. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know. It's like the loot value idea kind of was a suggestion too by a listener, and it's like we're interested in like topics of wide range, right? So we're willing to look into stuff, and like I don't care about my stats clearly because I just sank my loot value by getting like 5 wire and 5 metal parts and whatever, but
and getting out.
Yeah, getting out. Hey, but it helped my survival rate.
Well, it helps your survival rate, and we've played enough encounters now that a few games like this where you don't bring a lot out isn't going to affect you that much.
Yeah,
it's going to like bring your stats down just a minuscule amount, right? But then when you have a really, really good loot run, your stats just go up a little bit. Like, oh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely like reach out to Doc and I, and like let us know that you guys do enjoy it or whatnot.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Because like constructive feedback, like we've had some of our suggestions, like posting images in the podcast on the YouTube. It's like it helped improve. I think it's a great idea. We didn't even think about it beforehand. But
yep.
Yeah, we're really, well, like I said, I'm enjoying doing this. I'm sure Doc is too, and
absolutely,
it's good. I honestly think I like to think that I'm kind of in touch with everything, like content creating wise on Vigor, and I still don't think there's anything like this on Vigor.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of great content creators on Twitch, YouTube.
Absolutely.
I'm not on Facebook Gaming, so I honestly don't know. I apologize for anyone who does content create on Facebook, but there are some great content creators, and yeah, like I said, I think we have something unique here, and I'm happy that we do have people that do enjoy our podcast.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and like you said, love to hear from you. So please reach out through the comments, through all the different avenues, through Twitch or however. Let us know. It'd be awesome to hear from you. But again, until next time, I'm Dr. Anton.
And I'm DJ Spencer.
And we'll see you in the Outlands.
Yep.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Lost your way again. You don't see your reflection. Just look around and find it is something good. All you need will come to you. I'll never end you still. Take whatever you want. you.